Women in Media Newark presents the 16th annual Women's International Film Festival, July 31st through August 9th. And joining us today is the Executive Director of Women in Media Newark, Pamela Morgan. Pam, great to see you as always.
Thank you, Doug. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And you've come through again. We have two tremendous filmmakers joining us today. We have Jacoba Atlas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And Afia Nathaniel. Great to see you as well.
Thank you for having me.
Jacoba, let's start with you. We'll refer to you as Kobe from now on, but your film, The M Factor, Shredding the Silence of Menopause. You are the director of this powerful film.
Thank you.
Take us to the reasons why you felt it was so important to talk openly about menopause because so many women don't.
Yeah, that's exactly why, Doug. It's as you know from the film, every single female on earth will go through menopause. This is a universal experience. And for some reason, I mean, the medical profession, the way we've been embarrassed by things, it hasn't really been talked about. And with my producing partners on this, we thought, wait, we really want to do a deep dive into this and give women the information they need so that they can thrive. There's so much confusion about it from just, I never went through menopause because some women think they haven't because they don't have hot flashes. Menopause is a lot more than hot flashes, to I'm suffering and no one can help me. And both of those things are wrong. There's so much that can be done to help women thrive in this. So my producing partner, Denise Pines, who's always worked in with the medical profession, and I really wanted to do a deep dive into this.
A deep dive indeed, and it's also uh, a story that needs to be told as far as when it comes to dealing with menopause. You know, not just, as you mentioned, not just hot flashes and night sweats and sleeping problems, but mood swings and, more importantly, a difficulty concentrating at times, a loss of confidence or self-esteem. And you have many prominent people in this film.
Yeah, we did. One of our executive producers, Tamsin Fidel, talked about that. She is a broadcaster, and when she was trying to read teleprompter as part of her job, the words didn't make any sense to her at all. So she had really severe brain fog, as a lot of other people do. And again, if this happens to you and you don't know why it's happening to you, you think, oh my God, what? Brain tumor, going completely bananas. So it's really important for people to know that this is a normal transition. It can get better and there's ways to be helped. And just to remind everyone, I think another important aspect of this is there's so little training by the medical profession. Some of our doctors in the documentary said they got a week of training in menopause. Some doctors don't get any training. This is OBGYNs get no training in menopause. Fortunately, that's changing now, but it's changing slowly. Slowly is better than nothing, though.
What has been the reaction so far to the film? Because it's something that is eye-opening to many people when it's kind of like a word that people just don't, want to even say menopause. It just means so many different things to different people.
It means, for one thing, that you're getting older, and we live in a society where you're not supposed to get older. This is, again, fortunately changing when really powerful women are perfectly willing to talk about this now. And it's in the media now, it's in festivals. Thank you very much. It's being seen by so many women. It's been in 47 countries. It's extraordinary to me, seen by millions of women. I've worked in documentaries most of my life after starting at NBC News, and I've done some important documentaries, but nothing honestly has had the impact of this. And I think it's partly because women are so hungry for information, and we were able to cram a lot of usable information into this hour.
Pam, you're able to bring these amazing filmmakers to life for us in a free festival, which is in itself a real demonstration of just your commitment to community and to the filmmaking industry. Kobe talks about, she's done other films. She's won a Peabody Award, Emmy Award winner. Uh, just tell us how you, before we talk to to Afi and Nathaniel about her film. Tell us about how you are able to get all these wonderful filmmakers together for a short period of time for the Women in Media, International Film Festival.
Thank you, Doug. It's really my great honor to be able to bring these voices, these global voices, talking about important issues facing women that women would otherwise not know about. Too often we think our situation is unique, and my goal is to help women here who attend the festival to understand that we are part of a global community of sisters who go through the same experiences. So we have a call for entry. And then we also have word of mouth. And we're able to bring together, I think, some of the finest filmmakers in the world to share, and they're gracious enough to share their work with us.
One of those filmmakers is indeed Afia Nathaniel, who lives in Maplewood, New Jersey, and her short "Don't Be Late, Myra" is a part of this film festival. This is a film that as soon as you start, um, the emotions are already there. Tell us the story of "Don't Be Late, Myra."
Thank you for programming this, Pam. My feature also played in this wonderful festival many years ago, and as you know, my all my body of work really has to do with this fight against patriarchy, and so this particular film, short film, Myra, that is playing right now at the festival, is also a shot, on, against patriarchy. And it really is inspired by true events from where I am from in Pakistan. And the story is about the schoolgirl Myra who one day misses her school bus and she is forced to walk down alone, navigating the streets of Lahore by herself. And as she's doing this, she's getting, harassed by men on bikes and men on the street because there's no male chaperone with her. And so the story takes us into a slice of life, into a girl's life from her POV as to what it means to be a young child navigating this world alone, and for men to see you as a sexual object. So that's the story. And so what happens to Myra at the end, I will leave it to audiences. But really, the film is inspired by my, stories from my own life when I was growing up. I'm one of three girls in Pakistan, and we had no men in the family. So, it's very easy to be a target of assault, sexual assault, or harassment when you're by yourself as a girl navigating this world. So I really wanted to break the silence on that and show you an experience of how girls and women from our part of the world, like how entrenched sexual violence is entrenched in our societies, and it really angers me. So this film came from a place of real anger and wanting to just you know tell that story from that place.
This film has won so many awards, and what fascinates me, Afia, is how in 15 minutes or less you can create a film that is so emotional and powerful. You had me at 44 seconds that, when,
Thank you. I'll take that.
yeah, it's frightening, right? It's
It is.
frightening. And so
Yeah.
how do you do that? How can you make such an important film in that short period of time? It takes great craft, a great ability to tell stories in a short period of time.
Well, thank you for that thoughtful remark. For me, I use my films as a way to start conversations and to engage audiences in those conversations. So for me, every frame, every choice within that frame is very meaningful. Nothing is by accident. And so crafting a story that is a very, very, a very nuanced subject in itself. Sexual assault is not an easy topic by itself, right? So how do you tell a story about this issue where you do want to draw the audience in and leave them thinking long after they've left the cinema theater, right? That's how I work. And so when I was, writing, in the writing of the film, as I said, it came from a place of anger. So I knew exactly what locations to go. I knew exactly where in my city I had to film. There is this specific big bridge in our city. It's humongous. It's packed with bodies. And so I imagine this tiny girl walking alone, and this insane traffic is all around her, and the beautiful blue sky is behind her, and these hawks are circling the sky. So for me, these hawks became a metaphor in the film. I'm not going to give it away, but the uh, hawks are predators, right? They up there in the sky, they're predators, but out here on the streets, on the ground below them, there's another kind of predator, men, And so I used, in my frames, very, very subtly, to weave the story within and without, the location itself, it's a character in the film. So I really mine the idea that the location really, the physical world really is some way telling you something about the inner world, the spiritual world. And that's how I frame my films, in my films.
One of the reasons that I love doing these interviews with Pam and her filmmakers for the Women in Media Women International Film Festival is I'm a guy, right? So many of these films are not very positive about men at times because of the issues that are talked about. But we need to hear it as well. It's not just for women. Men need to hear these stories. They need to know what's going on. Kobe, when you hear about Afia's film, how does that impact you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it sounds so powerful and so important. And there's a way that I think fiction can be even more powerful than documentaries, because you can say so much emotionally through fiction based on reality. And knowing that this film was done, there can never be enough films actually talking from a female point of view about what real life is like. And what she's describing sounds so important. And when she was talking about the patriarchy, just to bring it back to the M factor a little bit, is one of the reasons why there's been so little understanding of menopause is because for too long the medical profession, government has always looked at health through a male lens. It wasn't until the 70s that women were even brought into research. Even research about women was done on male bodies, and the philosophy was, well, we're just smaller than men, so we can just adjust down. So that patriarchy has just infused so many things in our lives, and I'm impressed that she was able to do a film like this.
Kobe,
Thank you, Kobe. Can I also just weigh in about your film? I haven't seen it, but I want to catch it. It's so important for women of color to also go watch this, especially because historically, the data on menopause is very wide. It's based on white women and their histories and their pathologies and everything. And what I'm learning now, as I've entered menopause, is that actually for brown women, it begins a lot earlier than white women. And doctors, OBGYNs don't know this. So how they treat you, or rather not treat you, it's actually it's a real problem because they miss the signs, they dismiss your symptoms, um, and you're forced to navigate your health all by yourself, with little support from the medical side. So I'm really grateful that you're bringing this film out and talking about this in a very public way.
And we were able, I'm so glad you said that too, because
Yeah.
even though it's only a 54-minute film on PBS, we did touch on how it affects women of color differently. We had a couple of excellent Black doctors who talked about this, and we had a Latina nurse who has been in the field working with Latina women to get them to understand that they can talk about it because that cultural, I'm lumping them all together, which is really ridiculous. Latina is a huge group of very diverse people, but the culture is sort of don't talk about it, be stoic. And
Mhm.
Wen Shen at Johns Hopkins, she's Asian American, and she talked about how it affects the bones of Asian women in a different way than white
Mhm.
women. And you were so right that so much of this discussion is really focusing on white women and honestly white women of a certain economic
Mhm.
ability. And that's something we also really wanted to puncture a little bit in this film. At 54, 56 minutes, you can't do everything,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we did touch on the fact that your insurance won't pay for half of this. I mean, why is that? I mean, dealing with the reality of the American medical system could be, 5,000 hours of frontline.
Yeah.
But we did touch on the fact that insurance doesn't cover everything for women, and of course, a lot of women don't even have insurance in this country. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are
Yeah.
such important things,
Yeah.
and one of the things that I just want to add, because you said this about your film too, and we really feel strongly about our documentary, it's a starting point for conversations.
Mhm.
It's let's talk to each other, but also this should give you some ammunition, if I can use that terrible word, to
Mhm.
go talk to your doctor. And don't let him or her tell you, nah, you'll just get over it, or it's all in your head, or
Yeah.
don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I know what it is. Here, I know what it is. Let's
Yeah.
talk
Yeah.
about what we can do to alleviate it. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
Pam, it seems that like these two films, many times it's you're not alone when you hear about these issues in these films that are part of the Women in Media Women International Film Festival. Once again, that's running from July 31st. And that's when you can see both of these films on July 31st at the New Jersey Historical Society, right next to WBGO at 52 Park Place. So you won't want to miss that. It starts at 5 o'clock. There will be four films that night. But and it does indeed start with Avia's short film. So you definitely want to be there on time at 5 o'clock on July 31st at the New Jersey Historical Society. But Pam, as I was mentioning, it's you're not alone, right? These issues impact so many people, but many times, either because of the subject matter, which can be, very delicate, they aren't talked about enough. But that's the beauty of this festival to bring out these issues.
That's right. And on Monday, the 31st of July, we are going to have, excuse me, medical professionals for a talk back who are actually going to be there to discuss menopause with our attendees. So I'm very pleased about that. But Doug, I also want to point out the importance of having Doug Doyle, as a person who believes in what we're doing, because we know that male allyship is critical. So, on behalf of the filmmakers and the people who support us and our staff, I want to thank you for always being there and for giving voice to these filmmakers.
I appreciate that very much, Pam. But to me, as I mentioned, first of all, it's an honor to be with all three of you again today. But I learned so much. I mean, that's why I love my job. Kobe, starting your career at NBC News, I'm sure that always gets the mind going on what topics we should be addressing, right?
Yeah, I was really privileged to start at the Today Show with an absolutely wonderful executive producer, Steve Friedman, who was in charge of the morning show at that point. And it was such an eclectic 2 hours. It was only 2 hours back when I started, and you could do almost anything. I mean, Steve would say, "Oh, okay, well, we've got 10 hours of television. If you want to talk about ballet for 5 minutes, go talk about ballet." Although I couldn't care less about ballet. So I got a really great kind of foundation on a lot of different films and a lot of different topics and how you can deal with topics. And one of the things that you said earlier, Doug, was so important is how can you do something so important in such a little period of time? And it's always harder to write short than it is to write long. I mean, you know that, you're a writer. So that Afia was able to put so much into a 15-minute film is just extraordinary. And I sort of learned that a little bit at the Today Show, which was my training ground, because we would have 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes would be a huge amount of time on that show. And you learn to be really, really concise. And with the M Factor, we had so much information we wanted to cram in. So I love that you're going to have a follow-up panel because there's so much more to talk about. And one of the things I've noticed from the screenings I've gone to is that women are really hungry to be diagnosed. And you may get some of that from the audience. Well, let me tell you how I'm feeling. And of course, the panelists can't diagnose, just like you can't diagnose in a film, in a documentary, but you can start the conversation and know what to ask.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Very
Don't
good.
Be Late Myra is from filmmaker Afia Nathaniel, who, as I mentioned, lives in Maplewood, New Jersey. Afia, though, your debut feature, which is Daughter, basically, translated
Mhm.
into to English, a roadmap thriller. It premiered to a rousing reception at Toronto in 2014 and became Pakistan's official Oscar submission for the Best Foreign Language Film category. You have to talk a little bit about this film because it is an amazing piece of work.
Thank you, Doug. It's as I was mentioning, Pam lifted this film up in one of the screenings in Newark, and the film is also inspired by true events back in Pakistan. I used to work in a nonprofit in Switzerland well before I was a filmmaker, and I heard a story then, which was about a mother who kidnaps her two young children and makes a run for the road to find a better life for them. And somehow these images stayed in my mind, this idea of a road, this mother, this child, and the film started writing itself as a thriller. It was going to be a story about a mother who would save her daughter from a child marriage, and she was going to be running on the road, and obviously bad guys would be chasing her, and she's going to try and find a new life, as she's on the road. And she meets this truck driver who becomes one of her allies. So yes, we do need the men as our allies. And in this film, I really wanted to tell the story about these three people. And it's a thriller, and it's pretty heart-pounding if you were to watch it. It's like, it's all shot in Pakistan, and I choreographed these chase scenes, which are like 8,000 feet above sea level. And we have a tiny, tiny industry. We do not have, action choreographers or any of that. So I did everything myself. I directed, produced everything. And it was a real labor of love for all my cast and crew, to which I'm super grateful. The film would not exist without their passion. So we need allies, not just in audiences, we need allies behind the screen who really come together to tell these stories. And from countries like Pakistan, which are not known for their cinema, this film really put our cinema on the map internationally, globally speaking. It's the first art house feature film from Pakistan by a female director that was submitted for the Oscars for the best foreign language film back then. And it was, it's really, it had a record-breaking theatrical release in the country. So it was really successful in Pakistan. It was really successful globally as well. And I'm very grateful to audiences who have really supported the film in across language, across geography, everywhere. So that's, that to me is like as filmmakers, yes, we pour a lot of love and blood and sweat into our work, but really it's when we watch the film with audiences and when it finds its feet in the real world, as its own thing, that too me is the most gratifying part. Okay, my job is done. I've raised the baby. It's gonna have its own life. It's gonna walk on its two legs. And beyond that, it belongs to the world. So the films, Kobe, even your film, each one of these stories, they belong to audiences once we've done the work. And so I just enjoy seeing them now grow up and live in the real world.
You know what it's referred to when you write, produce, film, direct? It's called
Crazy. It's
crazy.
called being crazy.
Motion detected.
Yeah, it's also called talent, and that will be on display. And Pam, we bring it up almost each year, but it's so true. Women filmmakers, we need more of them. We do see improvement. We do see award winning all the time. But what would you like to see in the industry as you take a look at women in media and women films, the industry itself, Pam?
I'd like to see the portrayal of women being more realistic and more positive. And I'd also like to see more opportunities behind the camera as well as in front of the camera.
Kobe, I'll let you address that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I mean that is so important what Pamela just said about behind the camera as well. And our company with my producing partner Denise Pines is called Women in the Room Productions, and we are really have been advocates for women to be part of the crew, to be the editors, to be producers, and particularly women of color. That's very important as well. It You have to sometimes do a little bit more work to find those people because the industry has not been particularly receptive, particularly to women of color being DPs, directors of photography. So you have to sometimes do a little bit of more digging. Fortunately, there are now websites that let you find out more about who's out there and the work that they're doing. So it's gotten easier. But honestly, when we started our company with our first film, Push Out the Criminalization of Black Girls in Schools, we really had to work to find the crews that we wanted to work with. But that is so incredibly important. And I'm just repeating myself, but it's gotten better now. It's not perfect, but it's gotten a lot better now.
And Kobe, where are you living these days?
Los Angeles.
LA. So
Yeah.
we have LA and Maplewood represented today. Afia, how did you end up in Maplewood?
Through New York City. Listen, we're getting priced out in New York City. You can't, if you have a family, you want to grow, you need to see the sky and hear the birds, come to Maplewood. It's beautiful.
Wouldn't you just like to have just, a cup of coffee with all these wonderful people we have here today? Because you just, all of you just have so much to offer this world, and we need more of it. So, first of all, congratulations on both of your films. Once again, they will be airing on July 31st. And Pam, your website will have all the information for the 16th Annual Women's International Film Festival. Where can people go to get more information?
Our website is wim-n.com.
So I also like to give our filmmakers during this segment an opportunity to ask one quick question of each other to get their reaction. We talked a little bit about the synergy between both of you, but Afia, what would you like to ask Kobe?
Kobe, is this film going to be eventually available on a streamer or someplace where one could access? What are your plans with it? Yeah.
Well, it did air on PBS, and it continues
Oh,
to be available
okay.
through PBS Passport, which is basically it's a free service if you subscribe to any of the PBS stations for as little as $5 a year. And so
Great.
it is available. And honestly, people have found workarounds. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but they have because it's been screened in 47 countries, places we didn't know it would ever be seen. But we're so grateful it's seen. We don't do this. We're supported by foundations and individuals. This was never a money making. No one goes into documentaries to make money, and so we're just grateful it's being shown as many places as it is. And it's kind of an evergreen because, in 5 years, the same questions will be asked by women now entering menopause as they are today. So we're just so grateful that you can see it through PBS and through other
Great.
streamers.
All right,
Fantastic.
Kobe,
Fantastic.
it's your turn to ask a question of Afia.
Yeah, I one question that comes to mind is how difficult is it for you to work in Pakistan telling these stories that the government may not actually want told?
That's a great question, and I don't know how much time I have.
You have a couple of minutes, but you're good at this. You're good at this, right?
So,
You have a
oh
short
yeah.
period of time to tell the
Here's
answer.
Here's the thing. I honestly had a great freedom to tell the story as I wanted, and this comes as a huge shock for, people to know this because I'll tell you, in within the country, there's all kinds of people, right? The far right, the far left, we know, there's a whole spectrum, right? And in the news, the international news, we only get to hear about one spectrum of this entire population. And what you don't really hear is that there is a thriving arts community in the country, in television, in theaters, not so much in cinema, but there's a lot of realism, gritty realism and social justice based issues that are being done in a really big way in television. So our audiences are very attuned to receiving that. And so when you, as a filmmaker, step in and want to make a film, let's say about child marriage or about a sexual assault case, uh, you will not be hampered. You will be given the freedom. And I'll tell you, honestly, as a female filmmaker, I have a greater liberty to do as I want because when as a fiction filmmaker, when I go into my casting and I work with young children, for instance, or young girls, the parents will automatically trust me. I can host auditions. I have trained my team who's very sensitive, so they understand that when women filmmakers come and make films on these topics, it's going to be done in a way that they will trust you and they will hand you the trust. And I really work with that trust. So for me, it's very easy to work with it. I can knock on a door and get permission for a location permit, for instance. But, so because they trust women more. They- and so it's a big responsibility, so I take that responsibility and I work with my team in a way where we work with the people wherever we go. So if it's a village where we work with, we go and speak with the elders first. Do we have your permission? This is the story, this is the script, vet it. If you're comfortable, we'll come to your village, we'll film, and this is what we need. This is how you can help us. Tell us how you can be part of this. And whenever somebody's receptive, like the feature film we shot, Tukhtar, in the northern areas of Pakistan, the entire village came to help us. Some were carrying our boom poles, our lights, and we didn't ask them. They just came, they said, we want to help you tell the story. They were so gracious. They opened their hearts, their homes, and everything. And this is how we can make films in such modest scenarios because we have the passion and love of the people on the ground.
Wonderful. Just wonderful.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Afi and Nathaniel Short, Don't Be Late, Myra, will be a part of the Women in Media Newark 16th Annual Women's International Film Festival, July 31st at the New Jersey Historical Society. Afi, a continued success, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and so lovely to meet you all.
Jacoba Atlas, her film, The M Factor, Shredding the Silence of Menopause, will also be screened at the New Jersey Historical Society on July 31st. Thanks for being here
Oh, thank you for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
and continued success to you as well. Pam, you've done it again. You always bring fascinating filmmakers to this segment. We appreciate you and all you do. And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I look forward to, I always look forward to working with you, Doug. Thank you so much. And thank you to the filmmakers.